your mind.
Hey there, this is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics, T Bunny if you're nasty. And today we're going to review Expendables Go to Hell. There you go. Yeah. I backed this back the first time back in February 2020, which is well over a year and a half now. And already got a comment. El Yodam Dark Star, what's up, man? He always seems to show up, huh? It's almost like he pays attention to my tweets or something. What's up, man? Warren, hello, man. Anyway, so today I'm going to do a review, an actual legitimate review. This is, I might have a rant in there somewhere. Hang in there. Anyway, let's take a look at the packaging at first. Now, your boy, Zach Meyer, he's been using a fulfillment service. I don't know if he's doing it himself, but it's been like shrink wrapping everything into one package, and it's just been hell on these posters. Now, the last time I did a review of Impossible Stars, the posters have these creases, man, and these creases aren't coming out. This poster here, I think this is the Graham Nolan, maybe. I can't remember which one this is, but this is the other one that comes with it. This is a really nice one. I think this might be Renzo Rodriguez, maybe. I'm not sure. I should look that up. I'm not prepping, man. I'm not prepping well. Okay, anyway. See how this fold back in? These posters are pretty much ruined. Now, I know people are like, well, how else are you going to get them here or there? Well, this is from Australia. This is the one that Bancroft's poster came in, and the one that I got from them was completely flat. Same size. It's in the sleeve and it's completely flat. So I mean, there's ways to get around it, but you know, the whole shrink wrapping thing compresses it so much that it just ruins these posters. But anyway, this is a dog tag. This is the coolest thing that came with it. It's a dog tag. It has all the names on it. The people who were directly connected. You got Sylvester Stallone, Chuck Dixon, Richard Meyer, and Graham Nolan. It's legitimately metal. It has some weight to it. Wow, he put his own name on there. I mean, oh, I don't know. I don't know that I would have done that, but you know, I'm not him in a lot of ways. There's a patch. I seem to have temporarily. Here we go. This is a sew-on patch with the Expendables logo. It's legitimately fabric. If you want to sew that on a jacket or something. Me, I'd poke the heck out of myself. Bookmark with Lee Christmas on it. And some cards. These cards have some bios on the back. But I don't know why you squish these two onto this one and then put one guy on that one, but it's neither here nor there. All in all, it's a decent swag package, except for the posters, who I just don't see any way you're going to get that crease out. I don't know. I don't know. I've seen people send them in tubes. I've seen that, but that package that the Bancroft's used is the most elegant solution I've seen, and that came all the way from Australia. So that's shipping a hell of a lot further than in Texas, wherever Meyer is. Anyway, but so I got this. This is like the main cover, and it's got Stallone, Dixon, Meyer, and Nolan on it. Now, this was, as far as I know, this was the first project I ever seen Graham Nolan on in CG. I don't know if he did anything before then, but all of his posters are like that from all his campaigns. Okay, Warren, thank you for. I know the Nexus one from the Impossible Stars was completely ruined, but the shrink wrapping thing. I mean, it compresses things down to like this thick, and then he puts it in the Gemini mailer, and the Gemini mailer has all this room in it, and I just don't understand the logic behind that. Of course, there's a lot of logical fallacies where Richard Meyer is concerned that I might get into later. Anyway, all right. So, the good about this book, the good is you got very little Richard Meyer writing in this. A lot of Sylvester Stallone writing. I recognize his style. At least he gave the story beats, and Chuck Dixon took over. And Chuck Dixon's kind of he's worked with Stallone before on other expendable graphic novels. I think they were put out by IDW, maybe. And so these two work very well together, and there's a comfort level here that you can tell is just not a brand new relationship, that there is some significant history. And the opening page here is a little bit cluttered, but it has a lot to put on there. And this is interesting in that it's got a prologue, The Bridge, Christmas in Hell, Barbarian's Holiday, and then it has listed the cover artist. And I didn't get Dorman. I really regret not getting Dave Dorman, but this is back when I was supporting Richard wholeheartedly, and I got his cover, which is actually the weakest out of all of them. It's really, when you look at it, I should have got Dave Dorman. Oh my gosh, it's Dave Dorman just did a work of art. And literally work of art. I mean, it's literally a painting. It's incredible. But that's hindsight is 2020. I would have got the hardcover with him. But the thing about it is when you got them back when they were, still. You can. I'm not spoiling anything by telling them that they wind up in hell. So there is an event that sent them there, and it's an epilogue. This is Aaron Alfici, who is just a top tier. I mean, he's just a top tier artist. This should have been a poster right here. I mean, that's a missed opportunity. Look at that. That is really, really good. But yeah. And funny thing about it is, this pretty much approximates what Richard tried to do with his cover. And it's almost like somebody saw what Richard tried to do and said, "Oh, well, let me show you how it's done," because that's how it's done. I mean, it really is good. But we go to the epilogue, and I won't spoil what happens. But needless to say, they wind up in a nice warm spot. Okay. This would be hell. So, uh, anyway, shenanigans ensue. It goes from there, and I guess the next part of it is the bridge, and this is them on the. It's pretty much hits the ground running. I mean, it hits the ground running. Action is pretty incredible. It doesn't let up. I mean, it really starts. I mean, the speed it gets into, and then it starts throwing characters at you that are like callbacks. Like this one was a character that I think was played by Mickey Rourke a couple of movies ago. I didn't really watch the Expendables series, but I have a lot of friends that do, and they've told me a lot about them. It's just basically mindless action fare. I mean, it's just pretty much like the Magnificent Seven, but it's usually winds up being more than seven. But anyway, they do have a high body count. It's called the Expendables. It's not called the Preserved. So anyway, but yeah, and then it moves into the side story, which is Gunner breaks off from the group, does something insanely stupid, which is really kind of like his thing, I guess, in the book series. They run into Audie Murphy, which, I mean, I don't know how I felt about that, because Audie Murphy is the greatest American soldier that's ever lived. And also pretty much a devout man from Texas. So how he would wind up in hell, is a little problematic for me. But I know who. I guess people who read it probably aren't going to know much about Audie Murphy, but look him up. That's not a man that would have wound up in hell. The only hell that he would have dealt with was on Earth, in his own conscience. But then it's a side story. Winds up Lee Christmas has a little side story here, but it's kind of a little bit of a whirlwind romance with a love interest from an earlier book, I believe, and it doesn't wind up the way you think it's going to wind up. It's a little bit surprising. And that's art and color by Kelsey Shannon. I guess that's the one written. All of these seem to be written by Chuck Dixon. Which, you can't do bad with Chuck Dixon. I mean, it's Chuck Dixon. It's Chuck freaking Dixon. Which, I'll go into it later. Anyway, so it's it's just this nice little it kind of goes from that into the next bit, which is Barbarian's Holiday, which art by Butch Geis, who Color Channel did most of it, but on that one, DC Alonso did that the color in that one. Art and color in Christmas in Hell is by Kelsey Shannon, who is Kelsey Shannon. So, yeah. I guess that main cover art is Kelsey Shannon. Okay. I'm sorry. If you want like perfection and a tight review, I try to do these live so you can see all my foibles. I don't always get things right. Sometimes I go back and reference. And I just did get this yesterday. So I read it multiple times since then. But it just keeps going, and you see all these historical figures, the people in hell you would expect to be in hell. I mean, it doesn't seem to be a lot of, there seems to be like callbacks to previous villains, and they winds up with a samurai, and samurai in hell, and it's just it's nonstop action. I mean, it's just nonstop action, and there's this MacGuffin that gets carried, you know, through the book. How this particular artifact wound up in hell is not really covered, but you got things like that. Yeah, that's who you think it is. Not really a spoiler, but anyway, so they get the hold of this MacGuffin in hell, and I won't spoil the ending for you, but the ending is it's a little bit on the abrupt side, a little bit Deus Machina, Ghost in the Machine. Something happens at the end to kind of conclude things in a little abrupt manner. But then you got pin-up cover by Keir Covington here. It's really cool. You got a Jozun page spread, which is kind of covered up by a really poorly designed, way of putting a cover together. It's got Jason Johnson doing a Captain America homage, and then got this one here. It's his this is Billy Tucci. This is the Tucci cover that became the cover art for his Tucci cover. Then you got Renzo and Gary Quapis. I can't really. This is the Renzo, and that's it's got the line arts in the back. There's Aaron Alfecci and Graham Nolan and Kelsey Shannon, and it's also got all the covers right here, in case you want to see what you missed. The covers are pretty good. The covers are done really competent artists. You had a bunch of people who wanted to be participating in this, and I guess we're about to get to the rant here. So a late book that wasn't worth the wait, mediocre through and through. Well, I don't think it was mediocre. I think it's pretty good. It's a good book. Like I said, I backed it first February 2020. Then I backed it again in March of 2020. I was planning on using one of the books as a gift to a friend of mine who's a big fan of the Expendables series. And I think I'm still going to give it to him because he likes that. Now this is competently written. It is exactly what you expect it to be. I mean, the Expendables do go to hell. They do fight stuff in hell. They do meet people that should be in hell. And the art is really good. I mean, you can't really go wrong with the who's who that was in that. But let's talk about something here. I think it's time to spill a little tea. Let me share a screen here. Brave tab. And let's go to here. Now, so let's look at this. This is the Richard Meyer campaign, Expendables Go to Hell graphic novel. Now, I remember when we first found out this was happening, and we found out this was happening. I think it was November in 2019. Richard had been talking on his streams about the fact that he was getting a property, and he'd been looking at all these mainstream properties that were coming open, and talking about getting one, and he thought that would be a way forward because you'd have mainstream recognition, and you would pretty much get a wider audience that way. This is back when he actually cared, I guess. But he was trying to grow something rather than try to get out of something. But that's neither here nor there. But suddenly he's announcing that not only did he get Sylvester Stallone to give him a property that Sylvester Stallone built from the ground up, that pretty much revived his career. At a time he was dead in the water, he started making these mindless 80s style action flicks, and people just flocked to it because it was testosterone. It was, it was everything you wanted out of that kind of movie. And so he gives it to Richard Meyer because Richard Meyer knew Chuck Dixon from a previous project, and Chuck Dixon knew Sylvester Stallone because he did the graphic novels with Sylvester Stallone. And Sylvester Stallone has always been independent minded. Rocky was actually pretty much out of his own pocket, and he wrote the script and acted in it and everything. And he's like one of the original indie guys, and so he's the kind that he's big enough. You can try to cancel him. And there were some half-hearted attempts to cancel Sylvester Stallone when he gave the property to, at that time, they kept calling it Diversity in Comics because that's the channel that they first hated Richard C. Meyer under. And they gave him this project. He had Chuck Dixon on it, and Chuck Dixon, because Chuck Dixon was friends with Graham Nolan. Graham Nolan was looking to crowdfund comics. And because of this, they got into CG, and Graham Nolan's been a really good member of CG, and ever since put out Shanu and put out Alien Alamo. And so been great on streams. Has been very warm and generous to community. Great guy. With Graham Nolan's walk on water in CG now. But he's just awesome. Everything we'd hope a pro would be, and often are not. Okay. Anyway, but here we go. Mainstream property. Top-notch comic book writer with, Sylvester Stallone is a star. Still a star. His name means something, even today. He's for 4 decades, this man has been in the public eye. This is a big name. And he just had an Oscar nomination with his Creed series. I mean, this is somebody that is not like faded out of the eye. This is somebody with a name. And then you get Chuck Dixon, still on the Mount Rushmore of DC Comics, even if they try to ignore him now. But he wrote some of the biggest story arcs that we've ever seen in comics. Wrote some of the most iconic characters. And he's Chuck Dixon. Chuck frickin' Dixon. Then you got Graham Nolan. Graham Nolan, legendary, creator of Bane. Wrote a lot of those classic stories that Chuck Dixon, or drew a lot of those classic stories Chuck Dixon wrote, but also helped with the writing. So this is somebody. These guys are on the Mount Rushmore, okay? And then you get, in CG, you get out of CG, some of the biggest names in CG. Renzo Rodriguez, upcoming great artist. Now he's getting away from Splato and doing some side projects. It's easier to back him. Butch Guice, name in the industry. Butch Guice, he's on this project. Aaron L. Fetchy is on this project. Aaron just did Graveyard Shift 3. Um, great art. I'll give it that. It's got great art. Jason Johnson, I haven't seen much from him, but I know he's pretty awesome. Kelsey Shannon, big name in CG. Jack Show, he's with that group, so he gets a lot of prestige in CG. And then Billy Tucci, original indie artist of all time. The guy who started the big boobs, skimpy outfit, Babe movement in the 90s was she. Richard Myers, yeah. Anyway, Jason Johnson, Renzo Rodriguez, Dave Dorman, who did a lot of the covers for the Star Wars, and he's like the closest thing I think you can get to Alex Ross, because he is really that level of talent. His cover is just incredible. I wish I'd gotten it. I thought I'd back the hardcover, but evidently I didn't. That cover was on the hardcover. But what you got here is the who's who. A property everybody knows, artist everybody knows, a writer and star giving you his book, and barely promoted. Now, $2,803.598 is not chump change. First and foremost, it's not chump change. But 4,355 backers on a project with this much cachet, on a project that could have really made a dent in the mainstream. And I remember stream after stream after stream going by, because I was still watching him at this point. I watched all the way up to the aborted Wade lawsuit, which he didn't tell anybody about, didn't update anybody about, didn't tell anybody that he was thinking of concluding. He just did a, up yours, here's me and Wade are telling people to mind their own business, and then that was it. And the money's going to charity. Okay, well, that's nice. But what I'm talking about here is somebody who just had so much goodwill, so much hope. And, we backed him. We backed him through everything. Taking on the mainstream. You bet. You go, your boy. We'll fund your way. Original lawsuit. Remember that? He always kept saying, "Oh, it's original lawsuit." The original comics and original lawsuit. And we backed him. We went all the way. And then just boom, dropped. That's a rant for another time. I'll put a card up eventually. I have your boy. Wow, your boy is no longer my boy. So I already covered that. But this right here, to just get $250,000 on a known property with Stallone on it, who could take a dump in a box, and then it should have got over $1 million. As much big as the name Stallone did. To just go to get on no Twitter, no other streams, do not promote it outside of EVS. EVS promoted it more than Zach did. And basically, one of the other problems. What happened? Well, that's where this other screen comes in. Hold on 1 second. Let me share screen. Brave tab. Here we go. Take a look at this. Okay, this is Expendables. And this is the start. Expendables. Iron Sights 2 was active at that time. And then suddenly we're seeing Pandemic. 25 page, comic book. Jawbreaker's Grand Bazaar gets dropped. And then Do As You're Told, Ballad of No. He did this twice because he dropped the ball on putting it in the Indiegogo store, so he had to relaunch the campaign to put it in the store. Do As You're Told, Ballad of No came out this months later. Done by Kelsey Shannon. And it was like a continuation of that story. Iron Sights 2 finally starts getting fulfilled. Impossible Stars comes out. This campaign had Chuck Dixon on it. Already had that comic. I reviewed it. There's very little Chuck Dixon writing in that thing. It's mostly Richard Meyer. You can tell. Then he does this. Zack Friday sale, 4 days only. Selling all his back stuff from Splatto. $4.99 graphic novel, which was Narwhal. Narwhal wrote it. Narwhal drew it. It was basically Narwhal. He released by Splatto. But it says by Richard Meyer, but I guess he did the campaign, hosted the campaign. And still don't know what that book's about, but if it's Narwhal, it's dark. Narwhal's dark, man. Everything Narwhal does is dark. Rock and Roll Ninja graphic novel came out less than a month later. And then it didn't immediately launch real good because he was putting it out like in episodes, small pages, but then he relaunched it as a graphic novel. But after he ranted that crowdfunding was going away because he didn't get the numbers he thought he should have gotten, because it's crowdfunding, it's not him. And then, boom, yet another campaign. Knife Hand Blind Spot, a Jawbreaker story. And has this art in it that's really polarizing. But he puts that out. And you know what? People back it. A whole ton of people backed it, And there's another Zack Friday sale, 2021, November 26th. And yeehaw. Bully for Richard Meyer. But this is what he was doing. Instead of paying attention to this campaign. I didn't do Impossible Stars. That's when I quit. I got you. I actually backed Rock and Roll Ninja because Matt Six Bar is an incredible artist and he's a sweet guy, and I wanted to support him. Unfortunately, he's doing Splatto, but he's a good guy. Anyway, this book should have been Berserker size. It should have gone by EVS and Cyberfrog. It should have been bigger than Cyberfrog. This should have been Berserker numbers. This right here. If it had been concentrated on, if he had showed up in live streams, if he had done any promotion whatsoever for this, and then this would have been a hit that the mainstream would have known about. This would have been shown. It showed up in major publications when this came out. It was in major publications, not just comic book webs, comic book, Bleeding Cool or whatever these websites is. This would have been mainstream news, like Berserker was. This had all the potential, and it went nowhere. And it went nowhere because Zach was the one that got it. I mean, EVS knew. I mean, EVS is, kind of up his own ass, but EVS knew this should have been huge. And he said so on his channel. One of the few times I agreed with him about something. But that's the rant. You sit here and you say, well, month after month after month after month, I want to get a mainstream property because that's where the big money is. Let's get a mainstream property. Looking all through all these properties that were coming open, and he gets one handed to him. And because he's up his own ass and is not talking to not showing a public face, except for comments in his own channel, and it's like, oh, he's just shy. Well, I'm sorry, man. If you take this responsibility, you can't be shy. If you take this responsibility, you can't drop the ball. And he dropped the ball. Look at how many, 6 campaigns behind at one point. 6. And he still won't take responsibility for it. I didn't watch it, but I was told there's another stream the other day where he was talking about crowdfunding slowing down again because he's not getting the numbers he thought he should get. I'm sorry, Ben. And he's still getting people backing him. Still got Splato puts out anything, and he still gets well over 1,000 people backing him because they're still stuck in the fact that he got canceled by the mainstream. You guys made the guy a multimillionaire off that narrative. You made EVS a multimillionaire off that narrative. Well, Pop Quiz Hotshot, they're not getting canceled by the mainstream. The mainstream can't cancel shit right now. The mainstream is got so little clout right now, they can't cancel. I mean, they could fire people, but that's all they got now. And people are still funding these campaigns, and EVS is still like doing his like, oh, fight evil, back my campaign. You're not fighting evil. You're giving a guy 2 fucking warehouses. Okay? They're not canceled by the mainstream anymore. They are creators alongside everybody else. And it's time we start holding them to feet to the fire. If he doesn't promote Splato, if he doesn't go on the streams, if he doesn't have a Twitter presence, if he doesn't talk to his own customers, why the hell is people still backing him? He's thumbing his nose at the very people that put him in the advantageous position he is in. So why the hell did this just make $250,000? This is $1 million property here. Every time an Expendable movies came out, it went well. I mean, it was hundreds of millions because people were so hungry for toxic masculinity. He'll probably never get another one red lit. This is probably the only Expendables we'll ever see again, because in this modern climate, there's no way he'll ever get this red lit again. But, geez Louise, man. If we need to grow up, if this community has got a future, we need to grow up. And when you grow up, it's when you finally realize that your heroes are not who you thought they were. Expendables Go to Hell is a good book. It is exactly what it should have been. Exactly what it should be. And only 4,700 something people will have it in their hands. We could have put CG on the map with this. But they handed it off to somebody who just doesn't care. So, good book, shitty outcome. That's all I got. So this is Telepathic Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. Y'all have a nice day. Tell me what's on your mind.